Hello everybody and welcome back. It is great to talk to all of you again, and oh my goodness, they have announced Alaska, the ship we've been waiting for quite some time, and we're getting our first little bit of details from the recent development blog post. So how does she look on paper? Let's take a look and find out. First things first, she's going to be tier 9, so that probably means that it's going to be the same as Musashi and Kronstadt. Going to cost 750,000 free experience, right? Same as the Missouri. Hit points wise, let's take a look. 60,800. Okay, so that's a little bit less than the Kronstadt. Okay, quite a bit less. But I mean, depending on how she plays, could be sufficient. Could be. And I'm a little bit optimistic because I'm looking at the plating numbers and I see 27mm plating. Now, this is not going to be enough against 406mm guns. But if you run into any of the 380 armed ships, such as, let's say, Bismarcks, Tirepitzes, Richelieus, Alsaces, you're going to have at least some degree of protection if you angle in against them. So that 27mm bow plating is probably going to help. The armor belt, 229mm. Again, we have to see what the armor layout is in the future, where the citadel placement is. But if you angle correctly, shots against the belt, even from battleships, should probably auto bounce if you are angled correctly. Torpedo protection, however, 13%. Okay, not really all that amazing. She's going to be vulnerable to torpedoes, but 13% is kind of how I expected the ship to be. Alaska did not have amazing torpedo protection at all, so kind of a number that I was kind of expecting here. Main battery guns, 3x3 305mm guns. And these are basically, again, remember, she is, technically speaking, a large cruiser if you follow the American designation, battle cruiser if you really want to stretch it, so kind of battleship-ish caliber weaponry on a slightly oversized cruiser hull if you want to think about it. The guns, the 305mm guns, let's take a look at their statistics. Firing range, 20 kilometers. Okay, that's going to be entirely adequate. Probably to do good damage, if you're going to use your armor piercing, you're going to have to be a little bit closer anyways. Maximum HE shell damage, 4,300. Chance of fire is 27%. It's not bad. The HE shell damage is okay. The fire chance is not terrible. But I don't really think her strength is going to be there, because take a look at what her AP does. Her maximum AP shell damage is 8,900. 20-second reload time, so nice and fast reload time. Turrets traverse relatively quickly. Maximum dispersion, 260 meters at 20 kilometers. A dispersion ellipse that's going to be similar to kind of the way the Graf Spee is, like sort of halfway between battleships and cruisers. Sigma value of 2.05. AP initial velocity, 762 meters. Again, we'll have to see what the air drag values are in the future when we see them, as well as the Krupp values. Once we have all that, we're going to figure out what her penetration is going to be. Historically, the guns on the Alaska had a penetration value that was going to be similar to the older US 356mm guns. So if they follow history, the values of this guns in terms of penetration is going to be something similar to that. But do keep in mind, she is not going to be like Stalingrad. Stalingrad had ridiculous AP initial velocity, which gave it some crazy amounts of pen. Alaska, not so much. However, the Alaska does have the auto bounce angles that are what you find on the US heavy cruiser Des Moines. And if you remember from the Stalingrad tests a while back, when she had those improved auto bounce angles, the Stalingrad was a pretty scary ship. So while she doesn't have Stalingrad's amazing arcs and Stalingrad's penetration, she is going to get those auto bounce angles, which means that enemy ships are going to have to be very careful when they try to angle against her. This is a good thing, by the way. The improved auto bounce angles on a ship like this, can really be a threat. Secondaries, okay, well, I don't really expect the secondaries to do all that much. Yeah, so let's not talk about it. A defense, she has a lot of sort of medium range AA, the 40mm Bofors. Good damage there. She also is going to have access to defensive fire, so I do think the ship should be capable of protecting herself against aircraft. Maximum speed 33 knots, which is a pretty speedy ship. Throw on a speed flag, and she can really get somewhere in a hurry. Maybe played like a lighter Iowa in terms of playstyle, maybe. Turning circle radius 850 meters, rudder shift time 13.8 seconds. Surface detectability 16.2. Now, remember, this is not including any kind of skills or anything like that. Factor all those in, I do believe if my calculations aren't completely awful, you should be able to get down your surface detectability down to about 12.2 kilometers. Which is good, because you're going to be able to sneak up on some cruisers, and with your kind of guns, oof, and those auto bounce angles, you're going to be a real problem for some of those cruisers. In terms of available consumables, take a look here, and it's quite interesting. She is going to become that versatile ship, I think. Yes, I know it's another ship with radar, and that's a little bit too much, but she is going to have that versatility that a lot of American ships seem to have. She's going to get the damage control party on 1, the defensive fire or hydroacoustic search on 2, surveillance radar, spotting aircraft or catapult fighter on 3, and finally repair party on 4. Obviously, we're going to have to wait to see what kind of repair party it's going to be. I'm guessing it'll be just a standard one. In terms of surveillance radar, again, we'll have to see what kind of surveillance radar she's going to get. My guess is probably going to be a 9.9 kilometer American radar, kind of standard, but who knows, maybe something different appears. Spotting aircraft, catapult fighter, I would say maybe in some circumstances you might want to consider spotting aircraft, but that really wouldn't be my choice. I just don't think she is going to be kind of like Stalingrad, where downrange shots are going to be easy. She, I think, is going to be more, again, like I said, you're going to be using those flanks more, you're going to try to use that stealth a little bit more, try to get into good positions, and then engage targets. But yeah, I mean, all in all, wow, Alaska! I never actually thought I would see this ship, considering they were so, like, maybe not kind of thing for the longest time. I would still say, looking at everything, the notable things for me is, one, that 27mm plating. We definitely know what kind of shell she is going to be resistant to if angled correctly. We know what she's going to be vulnerable to as well. Other than that, for the main guns, I think, yes, the HE is going to be somewhat usable against targets that are well angled, but that improved auto bounce angle AP, combined with the fact that you're pretty stealthy and you're pretty fast, I think those things are going to play sort of more common roles when you're playing ships like the Alaska. Her AA, definitely no slouch. She can absolutely defend herself, but both AA and secondaries, I don't really think these are her strongest points. Definitely it seems like her good speed combined with those very interesting looking main guns and those interesting AP shells is probably going to make the ship. Of course, we do have to wait until we actually get our hands on the ship to try to play her before we have any sort of finalized opinions. Right now, she looks good. On paper, she looks good. She looks interesting. She looks like she could be a very good ship. But of course, like I said, we're going to have to wait and see when she comes out and we get our hands on her and we get to play around with her. Anyways, now that you've seen her, are you hyped yet? Oh my goodness, this ship. I've been waiting for her for a while. Let me know, of course, your thoughts in the comment section below. Aside from all that, folks, take care, have yourselves a good one, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.